It has been a minute, but it is good to be back with you today. I feel like you can't trust me because my upload schedule is like a roller coaster. I post whenever I want, and I mean, honestly, I don't feel bad about it because it's a reflection of the kind of content I make. I make content sharing my life, documenting my journey, my thought processes, and my faith, which that changes. I mean, I wish I had a niche like trick shot guy or skateboarder where I could post videos every day, or chef. I could do cooking tutorials, but that's not me. I'm just documenting my life and hoping people enjoy it and hoping people are influenced by it. But I think this is an important video because it's really the climax of a lot of things that have been happening in my life. I've recently just started studying psychology, which for me has been the climax of a lot of things that have happened in my life, of letting go of the fear of opinions and developing this intuitive sense of being. And I've sat and thought about this a lot, about how I got to this place, and it's been good to look back at my past YouTube videos purely from the sense of seeing where I was at the time. And I look back at a lot of my videos, if not all my videos, and what I see is this desperate search for meaning, and many of you see this in your own lives. It's the struggle we all have. We try to do things to find meaning. It's a trap that we're in, society at large. We're all stuck in this trap, but we think that we need to do more to find meaning. And I look back at my Dear Beau Miles video and the video where I wanted to take 10 days of silence, and they're all just videos of me trying to find meaning. But they're through an external source of meaning of me trying to chase it. And to be honest, it's no different to the trap of consumerism, where the more I get, the more houses I get, the more cars I get, the more clothes I get, the happier I will be. The better I look, the happier I'll be. The more I'll finally find peace when I lose the weight. I'll finally find peace when I achieve this marathon, or I sit in 10 days of silence. And I look back and I see the mistakes I've made, not as mistakes of intention. I didn't mean to be like that. And I'm sorry about the wind if it's rattling through the microphone, but they were more mistakes of ignorance because I didn't understand the broader picture of life. And where I'm at the moment is a really beautiful place in terms of my thinking. I think for the first time in my life, I feel like I am embracing humility and embracing the sense of being. And it is really the key that has allowed me to let go of so many of the external things that I've been carrying, because ultimately you can be confident. You can let go of your attachments to it, the fear of opinions. You can let go of the identities that you have of yourself that have been formed over listening to other people. But until you get back to this sense of being, you will always try to find meaning in doing, and it is fruitless. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter how good your career is. Doesn't matter how good your relationships are. None of that is enough to find meaning. And I'd say that because there are so many people who we all know who have taken their lives because they lost their sense of meaning. But when you look at their lives, they had it all. They had a beautiful family. They had a career. They were successful. They had a house. Yet they felt empty inside. And I ask myself, why? Why is that? Why are we as a society in a mental health crisis? And I've come to the conclusion through reading some great authors like Carl Jung, and even Nietzsche, and more modern authors like Ian McGilchrist, and watching some really important thinkers on YouTube, that we have gotten to this place because we have disconnected ourselves with a sense of being. You know what? I got to give them credit, but the yogis and the New Age and the alternative thinkers were right. We are not human doings, we are human beings. And I cringe at saying that, but it's so true. We are not human doings, we are human beings. Now, I believe the challenge that we have is the challenge that Jean Piaget talked about, and that even Carl Jung talked about, is that we can't just live in the space of being. We have to integrate it with doing. But the problem is we have gone so far in one direction that we have fallen off the cliff. Everything is cerebral now. And this is post-enlightenment thinking, uplifting the scientific method of observation and qualifying and quantifying everything and observing, and everything becoming cerebral has really caused this crisis. It has caused this absolute crisis of being. And when you look at the history of mental illnesses like schizophrenia, which is really the struggle of connecting to being, connecting with reality, it's a new illness. There was no schizophrenia before the Enlightenment period. There was no schizophrenia before the scientific method. It just wasn't documented. Why? Because society at large was much, much more spiritual, much, much more balanced in doing and being. You know, we were integrated with nature. We understood that our actions have a consequence on the world around us. We understood that we were part of communities. Communities were much more centered around small tribal groups, families, a couple of, like 10, 30 people, not hundreds and thousands on Facebook and Instagram. We were connected to other people and to nature and to the world and to the present moment. And the problem when we uplifted the cerebral aspect of life, the doing, is we got stuck here. We got stuck in our brains. And when you get stuck in the brain, disconnected from the being, disconnected from the felt experience, this real Descartesian way of thinking, you start to overthink. And we see depression, just stressing about the past, and anxiety, which is fear of the future. We see this everywhere in our society. We see consumerism, which is about the more I have, the more I'll be happy. We see this in career, that you have to climb the career ladder in order to find fulfillment. And all of those things, I think, are important things, don't get me wrong. You need to start acting in the world. You need to climb the hierarchy in your career, potentially. You need to do, but it has to be connected to a sense of being. You have to understand that meaning isn't found in those things. Meaning is found here, which means that, yeah, okay, I'm studying psychology, but I'm not a psychologist. I will never be a psychologist. You are not a teacher. You are not a lawyer. You are not an academic. You are not an office administrator. You're not any of those things. You are a human being connected to the people around you in a world, in nature. And you happen to be a teacher. You happen to be a psychologist. You happen to be a lawyer. And this is really important and best seen in sports. You know when, like, you see an athlete who sees themselves as an athlete and that's who I am, yet they break their leg and then they can't compete again? Like, what happens to them? So many times you see them just crumble. Or you see athletes who are like 50 years old, or in the UFC you see this, like athletes who are 45 and they should have retired, yet they come back for the 6th time to the UFC and get knocked out. Like, why are they fighting? Why are they coming back? Why are they doing this? I believe it's because they have put their identity on something external. I am a fighter. I'm a psychologist. I'm a teacher. And they've missed the ultimate source of being, which is within yourself. And I know a lot of people are going to stress about this. The Christians are going to arc up and say, no, meaning is found in God and found in Jesus. Well, where do you think Jesus exists? Jesus is this force of love that is integrated within all of us. You look at the Eucharist, the drinking of the blood and the eating of the bread, and that's symbolic of Jesus coming within us. It's in the sense of being. And again, spirituality got this. You look at the Taoists and the Buddhists, and they had this idea of emptying your thought of anything past and future and just be in the present moment. You look at Christians, pray to God because you are part of something bigger. Understand that you are in community. Pray, be surrendered to something bigger than yourself. What does the scientific method say? That the individual is the most important thing, and you have to think about, you have to reason everything, and you have to have a rationale, and it's all about logic and observation, and it's got us stuck in our head. It has lauded individualism and the ego above everything, and we get people with having absolute crises because they don't know who they are. And again, I look at my trajectory, I look at my journey, and I realize the mistake I was making was trusting in doing instead of really integrating myself with being. You have to do. Don't get me wrong, doing is important, logic is important, the scientific method is unbelievably important, but it only gives us so much. It only tells us so much about the world and about who we are. We have to balance this. Again, Jean Piaget talks about this in equilibration. Carl Jung, integrate the shadow. We have to start integrating the world of being and doing. And I don't know if this is convoluted or trite or whether this has gone straight over your head, but I'm telling you, the yogis were right. The woo-woo new age people with their horoscopes and crystals were right. The problem is they should have kept going. The scientific method, the thinkers of science, logic and reason, they were right. They just should have kept going. They should have come around full circle and met one another like we used to do. We need the method of science. We need this sense of being. We need to get back to the body. We need to breathe more and come back to the present moment. Back to the place of peace. Peace is found in the present moment, where you can't think about anxiety and the future, and you can't stress about the past, but you're just here in the present moment. in the moment, stuck here in the middle, about in the sense of being. So my challenge for you is, in thinking about your life, if you are stressing about your purpose and stressing about where you're going to go next, take time to reinstantiate yourself in being. And I don't want to give you a checklist of things to do. You have to figure it out for yourself, but I'm telling you, it's found in the present moment. Figure out ways to be humble. I mean, there's nothing more humbling than jumping in a bath of ice. There's nothing more humbling than walking out in nature with nothing but one bottle of water and a muesli bar. Figure out ways to really bring yourself back to the present moment, away from this egotistical masturbation of overthinking. Everything is about the head nowadays and about doing. Thinking is a process of doing. I've got to get more, I've got to be more, I've got to do more. Integrate yourself in the world of doing. You need a career, I understand that. You need a house, you need a car, you need to figure out where you're going, you need a plan. But if you want all that to matter, make sure you build it on a sense of being where your worth and your humility and your peace is in the present moment of being. It's really important. This is a very broad overview of some of the things I want to talk about, and I mean, I want to go even deeper. If you're a Christian, I'd love for you to journey with me. If you're not, stick with me still. This is really important stuff, but I want to blow apart the idea of what a Christian is. I have these ideas that are going to blow it apart only because it has blown me apart. I have gone from this arrogant, opinionated, egotistical, pious prick of a Christian. People around me didn't like being near me. I thought I knew who God was, to being really humbled and coming back to the sense of being like Jesus and going to the mountain and praying, being like the prophets and going and being in the presence of God and being. And now I want to start the doing. I want to start helping you. I want to start being in community with you. And I hope you can journey with me. Comment below. Join with me in this experience. My voice is gone because I'm talking too much, but I love you all a lot. See you later.